How's it going, folks? We're gonna start here in about 1 minute, just setting up and getting the promo out. 1 minute, folks. All right, guys. Sorry for the wait. We're gonna go live here in 30 seconds. I know it's been a long wait. It will be worth it though. A lot of good knowledge in sec, guys.
Yes, sir.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to, I guess, episode 1. This will be broadcasted on Spotify and recorded for future vlogs. Joined by a very special guest, Giovanni from Spy Options Trading. Giovanni, please introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. My name is Giovanni, and I trade nothing but SPY.
That's what it's all about around here. I love it. I love it. Let's talk about it. How was your day today? How was your trade today?
It was great. I made a trade. I was looking for a 10% gain, but unfortunately, I settled for a 6% gain. It was good. It was good. It was an easy trade.
Nice. You take what the market gives you, especially in this kind of market. Also here joined by Frag. You guys might know Frag. Fragable is also
What's up, guys?
Aspiring SPY trader. Let me see what chat's saying real quick. AP Horse. Guys, so we have chat on YouTube and on Twitch. This is being double broadcasted right now. Alright, so let's just get started with Giovanni. I have to ask you, why the SPY?
It's extremely liquid and it moves. That's all you need when making money in the stock market.
Because I remember I pressed you on if somebody sat you down and told you, SPY is a cash cow, because that's really what it is. But I remember you were telling me about Hugh, daytradespy.com. I really am so interested on how you came across telling yourself that day trading SPY is the way. Because for me, I had someone sit me down and show me. But I never came to that conclusion myself. From our conversations, it felt like you came to that conclusion yourself a little more than someone, sitting you down. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started trading, I traded penny stocks. They're extremely illiquid, and most of the time you get trapped. And so I was in search for a liquid product out there, liquid stock, or I don't know exactly what I was looking for, but I just know that I wanted something liquid. And I can't remember how I came about options trading, but that intrigued me. And it intrigued me so much because I asked everybody that I knew that was in the markets, what's an option? What's option trading? Nobody knew. And that got me to look into what option trading is. And really, I came across beta stocks. And that pointed me in the direction of SPY. And I looked at SPY as literally, I had no idea what SPY was. I say SPY, a lot of people say spider. And I started looking at the strike prices of SPY, and there was literally millions and millions and millions of dollars traded every day. And I knew that if I can figure out a way to make $1 in SPY, I can scale up my trades. Even, I can trade with $100,000. And that was a ticket there. That's what changed my mind is, hey, I can trade SPY with $100,000 and be okay. And that's essentially what brought me to SPY.
Yeah, you can always scale up if you're profitable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. What hits me the most is when you say that millions of dollars gets traded on the SPY. Like for me, I think that anything above like 100K, you'd really be messing with the spread a little bit. But people trade 400K, 500K blocks all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes market makers will spread out like $2 million trades onto like 3 different strikes. They'll buy like 5,000 contracts on like 4 different strikes. It's just insane how much money gets traded on this. And I think it really is the low-hanging fruit of finance. There's nothing better than, you know, the U.S. stock market and SPY as a whole. Now, here's a general question I get, and I don't want to answer this question. I want to hear your answer. Why SPY over SPX? I have my answer, but I want to hear your answer.
That answer is on my end. It's just simply that I can trade. I don't look at SPX really. I haven't thought about looking at SPX. I'm so focused on SPY that I block everything out, and even SPX, I don't even look at it. And I guess the price difference of where the stock or ETF is actually trading, $289 a share versus I don't even know where SPX is right now. But the literal and direct answer is I'm so focused on SPY that I don't even know SPX exists. That's how focused I am.
So how did you find out about SPY and not SPX?
It was on a list of beta stocks, including Apple, Google, and a few others. And then even furthermore, the spreads on the actual strike prices, 50-cent strike prices versus dollar strike prices or $5 strike prices, I think on SPX. I could be incorrect on that one. But the actual spreads in the bid and ask as well, they can be as tight as a penny difference. And that's what you need in a liquid market.
For sure. And yeah, I tell people the same thing. You know, for me, it's about the spreads. If SPX options had super tight spreads, I would trade SPX, because obviously if you're right, they explode. But you have better risk reward when you're right. But those spreads that are so far apart provide terrible risk reward if you're wrong. And I think one of the best ways to go about trading is, it's not so much so about trying to make money. It's about not losing money, because if you're not losing money, you're going to be making money. If you're not losing, you're winning.
Absolutely.
It's extremely hard to break even, and breaking even is not something that sustains for a very long time. It's it's a game where you're either a winner or a loser. So I think it's so much more important to focus on how can I protect myself. And yeah, one of those ways is definitely the tighter spreads, the 1 penny spreads. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
What I figured is that the options are very fairly priced if there's a penny apart. If someone's willing to buy it for a penny less and someone's willing to buy it for a penny more, then you know that like it's very fair. Everyone's kind of on the same level.
Absolutely. The funny part about spreads for me is I look not only the liquidity, that's everything right there, actually, just the liquidity, but during a bad trade or bad decision, just market sell, and you're not going to be losing so much the moment that you buy in. It just all comes down to that liquidity. Bad trade, get out. You're going to lose a penny, 2 pennies at the very most. And that's everything to me.
For sure. Brad, do you have anything to add?
I mean, I always look at SPX and it's just, it looks wide. The spreads are, they're wider. And people say, they make more money, but they're probably going to lose more money on losers, right?
Yeah.
And
for sure.
A lot of the couple teachers that I've had that kind of sat me down and taught me options, not necessarily SPY. I mean, that was Ed, but they did mention SPY. They did mention like some people only trade the SPY, and I was like, I wonder, at the time I just wondered like, why do they do that? And, over the years I've learned.
And not only that, but I guess I came to realize that a lot of people only trade SPY because it seems like it's more predictable, and that's not used very very often. It's very rare that somebody says, hey, you know what, this product, this stock, whatnot is predictable. That's so rare in the stock market, and it behaves for the most part the way it should behave or trade.
I totally agree. Now look, like personally, I'm in the worst trading slump I've been in this year. It's been terrible in terms of SPY.
Same.
And I mean, I'm not getting necessarily wrecked because I'm staying tight. And like, you know, 2 weeks ago I was on a 13 trade win streak, but August has really fucked me up. And you know, sometimes it will be the low liquidity, me trading in the afternoon. Sometimes it will just be my bad. It's legit my fault. I can only blame myself because I know that there are people that had a great August. So it is 100% my fault. But when the volume and liquidity is there, SPY does what it's supposed to do. Like if you pull up a 200-day moving average, it's like clockwork. Whether it was this year or last year or the year before. And you know, sometimes after a strong jobs report, SPY will, quote unquote, as we say sometimes, respect price. It will do it. It will do it a lot. Now, just because August, and for me, I've been in a trade route or whatever. I'm still up a ton this year. I've still made insane trades this year, and I know that the SPY is going to continue to act the way it should. And what's interesting that you say about predictable is because, you know, the person that sat me down and you know, explained to me how powerful the SPY is. They used to be a forex trader for over 20 years. They traded forex, and they did it successfully. But then they switched to SPY because they said it was the most predictable product out there. And I think the internet and the chat rooms and, you know, the chat, quote unquote chat, everybody really overcomplicates it. You know, the market's been strong. It has been strong for a long time. All the dips get bought. Most of the time it respects price. It's a pretty predictable asset, and you can guarantee, and I want to talk about this more in the stream later, but you can guarantee that the best trade is always in the morning. And there's no product out there that guarantees you prime time. Like, you never know when you're gonna have a good time to trade some type of forex or some type of commodity. Those things kind of are based off of like more news than the SPY is. I don't think the SPY is based off news at all. I think the news is pretty irrelevant to corporate America. But
True.
You are guaranteed, you know, liquidity and volume in the morning.
The beauty of having to wake up and not like start your scanner and look for, you know, stocks that are actually moving, that's another thing. Is we were looking at just one product, one thing that we trade. We look at it, we live, breathe it, and it's just so easy. It's easy just to flip on your monitors and just look at SPY. Hey, what is it doing today? Versus all these. I know friends, I know people that are trading the markets, and all they do is they scan the market for what's moving today, and then they sort of plan out their entire trading day. Let's can that. Let's just look at one thing, one stock, one ETF. Let's trade it. Let's trade the heck of it. That is so nice to me.
Yeah.
I was thinking about comparing it to the way old school traders used to trade. They used to trade in the pits, and in the pits, you'd obviously want to be in the pit with the most people. And if there was a SPY pits, you know, instead of online trading, that would probably have the most people in it, and that's where I think most people would want to be. And like the smaller pits are probably, you know, really difficult to make money in. So I think a lot of people would fluctuate towards the higher liquidity and the more active users.
Yeah. Sorry, before we move on, well, let me get this off my chest. And I'm sure that Giovanni would agree with this. Giovanni, I've talked about this with the chat. Let's say the SPY, for whatever reason, doesn't become the most liquid product, doesn't move the best, you know, at a best time. Let's say that if another product takes its place and is a superior product, I'll trade it, right? I'm not gonna be, and I know you would too. Like, we're not closed-minded about the SPY. It really just so happens to be that the SPY, or no, I don't like to say the SPY because it's not the SPY, it's the SPX, it's the S&P, it's the indice, is the best thing to trade.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm biased to it, it's just a fact, right? And anyone who tries to argue with me about, oh, you only trade SPY, or if somebody thinks that it's lame that I just trade SPY, they have no idea what's going on. And I really pity them because they're very lost.
Absolutely.
But anyways, I want to take some questions from the chat. Guys, we got a chat on YouTube. We have a chat on Twitch. We already have some questions. Let's get some questions in. So, AP Wheeler, my man Wheeler asks you, Giovanni, what do you think is your number one trading rule that helps you be consistently profitable?
5 to 10% gains. Absolutely. 5 to 10% gains, because greed sets in, right? We're always looking for that just a little bit more. Take your profits and run. Don't try to squeeze out a little bit more. You can look at my YouTube channel, and this happens to me all the time.
It happened to me today. It happened. Listen, I didn't take a 9% gain. I would have finished the day off green. I ended up finishing the day red. I was really pushing for that 10% gain. I completely agree. Go on, please continue. Let it out.
So you can see my video today. I was looking for that 10% gain. It came down a little bit, and it started going back up, and it kind of stalled out. You know what? I saw 6% get out, market sell. Hey, I'm good. That was well within my sort of rules of 5 to 10%. Get out, look for a new trade. It just so happened to be that, yeah, it blew up after I sold. I could have made easily 20, 30%. I wouldn't have gone for those kind of gains anyways, but the best thing I could absolutely do for myself in my trading is 5 to 10% profit rule. Get out, don't look back. I do it all the time. I break that rule all the time. As soon as I sell, don't look at it, because
you gotta walk away.
I think you even saw me. You even said it.
I told you today. I was like, dude, chill.
But that's my biggest and best rule is 5 to 10% gains. Get out.
Yeah, nice. All right, we got more questions coming in. God, there's like 3 chats. We got the premium chat, the YouTube chat, Twitch chat. Indica, what's the topic of this podcast? Ed, this is just the first podcast, and we're just gonna talk about everything SPY related. But we will talk about the past, the present, and the future for sure. Indica, what's the key to knowing what's a bad entry and what's a good entry on SPY? I think we should all individually answer that. And I think we should start with Frag on this one. Frag, what do you think is a bad entry and a good entry? Is it a chase? Is it not a chase? What's an entry? Is it a pullback? Like what defines a good or bad entry? Is it just respect? What do you think?
I think from everything I've seen personally, I could be wrong, whatever. Most failure trades happen later in the day during lunch, like I know you did today. Like you kind of got up late and you wanted to trade, so you traded late, and it just didn't work out. It was really slow, and I was here watching you for 3-4 hours, and it wasn't moving. And
it was terrible. It was terrible, and I was up 9%. It was terrible regardless.
Yeah, but I think a good trade would have gone in your direction more than 10%. I think that's a sign that you made a good trade.
Sure.
Good entry.
You know what? I like that.
In the morning.
Yeah.
I don't think chasing's awful. You have to chase, because if it's trending up, you're chasing the trend, right? Mm-hmm. So in a sense, you're chasing even if you get it on a pullback, you're still chasing the up momentum.
Sure.
I think when it's about to make new highs for the day, I think that's a good entry. Mm-hmm. Or new lows for the day.
Yeah, so like a price break.
Yeah, like a break.
Giovanni, like your opinion. What's a good entry, good exit? Wait, what do you mean like today? What? Oh, like this morning you mean? Like how we were
like
breaking out to new highs and every candle was just a new high?
Yeah, at this morning at I think it was 6:30, no, 6:45. Price closed at pretty much the high of the day, and I said in the chat, it's probably gonna rip, and
And
I was already in calls by then, and yeah, then it ripped like right after.
So you made money today, Frag. You made money today, Giovanni. And I caught an L with the SPY. Damn. And you know what's the one? Listen, you know what's you don't have to apologize. Don't worry. You know what's the one thing that I did different than these two folks? They traded the morning trade. I traded the afternoon trade.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The volume.
The volume for sure. But you know what? Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. You know, if you were to come to the chat and watch me trade a month ago, I was fully against any afternoon trading. And I was just doing morning trading, and I was doing really well. But what happened was I think I got brainwashed. I think the market got to me. I think that in the mornings that I was still trading well. Even though I wasn't trading in the afternoon, I was still getting my dubs in the morning. But I was seeing so much movement in the afternoon that it kind of made me be like, okay, you know what? Things happen in the afternoon. And then just when my psychology was like, you know what? I'm open to trading the afternoon. Then the afternoon started acting as they should. Like shit, right? Nothing compared to the morning trade. Afternoon trades suck compared to the first hour, 2 hours, 2 hours and a half.
Yeah.
So yeah, going forward, man, unless it's a Fed day, unless there's some crazy catalyst in the afternoon, I don't know. The best trades, 9:30 to 12, you'll find the best. If anything, 9:30 till 11, you'll get the best. I want to ask you a question though, Giovanni. We're gonna get back to chat questions, but a quick question for Giovanni. What is your opinion on the opening bell? And, would you hop into an option in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes? Have you hopped into an option in the first, how do you feel about that?
So it's very, very scary. Definitely the first 5 minutes, extremely scary and extremely dangerous because these spreads are ridiculous. It doesn't, the spreads on the actual option prices, they don't settle down until right around that 10-minute mark. Things settle down and you can actually find those spreads tighten up quite a bit. I mean, I've been in a situation where I jump in within the first minute or two, and at first I try to get in on limit orders and it doesn't, and I start to chase it, and then I end up just market buying, and it gets me at these ridiculous prices, and it's not good.
No, not good. Totally agree, terrible. Man. Terrible. Look, so the start of this year, I was at a point in my life where I was really building my account. Mm-hmm. And so I was extremely selective. And I think I was a worse trader than I am today. I don't think, I know. Even though I've been trading bad in August, I know I was a worse trader at the start of the year. But I was taking 2 to 3 trades a week. And I was just waiting for moments of momentum, moments where the MACD was erect, moments where my moving averages were erect. Sometimes I would hold for dear life and get lucky, but most of the time I'd get paid no problem. And that patience, that selective patience when you're building an account is super important. And in terms of that morning trade, right? Right now I have the account where I can, because I have, and we are going to talk about this many times on this podcast, risk management. I can lose, probably right now, I can lose 30 trades before I blow up my account. I would have to lose 30 trades, 10 to 15% before I blow up my account. But it wasn't like that before. And now I think that even though I can lose, I should get back into this mentality where, let's say the market does a crazy rip in the first 15 minutes or a crazy rip in the first half an hour, and I just don't have the risk to like I just didn't put it on that morning. I didn't chase. Then that morning is over, and you know what? Maybe I shouldn't even trade for the rest of the day. If there are other people that, if they're like, I know that my mentor, the guy that sat me down, the one, the only, the myth, the man, the legend, Mujahid, this guy's been doing this for so long, he can pretty much trade the SPY in his sleep. He can trade it at any times. But I'm not him. I know that I can achieve success in the mornings. I know that I've been tracking SPY, watching SPY, trading SPY for like 3 to 4 years, but I'm not there yet in order to trade SPY in my sleep. And so I think it's better, obviously first 15 minutes, you avoid that. But if you don't catch a trade, you don't have to trade every day. Obviously you can and you should. If you're good enough, there's a trade every single day. But if you miss the morning trade like I did today, it's just better off to let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about understanding. Understanding what you're trading, and how you're trading, and not just to trade just to place a trade. Like that's you're committing trading suicide there just to place a trade. Know your strategy. Plan your strategy and trade your strategy. If you don't wake up in time, if you miss it or whatnot, just stay out of the markets. That's exactly what I did last week. I missed a day. I wasn't here at the opening bell. You know what? Just walk away. Just walk away. Be smart about it.
Yeah. For me, that was an easy thing to do when I didn't have a paid chat. But, having people that rely on me to give trades, it's definitely been not a positive thing. I think that, if I trade 4 times a week, if one day I miss the morning or I don't catch the morning, I don't have to jump into it. And I think I'm gonna change that going forward. We have a ton of questions for you, Giovanni, like a ton. They're coming in from everywhere. Somebody asked, is this guy in the chat with the scared pet meme? Yes, he's in the chat. He will try to trade with us as much as he can. Hopefully we can trade together as a team as always. And, really master the SPY. Really be a bunch of SPY nerds. And at the end of the day, just become SPY market makers. Just we are the SPY. We live, breathe, eat, poop the SPY. We become the SPY. So, of course, he's in the chat. And we all hope to see much more of him in the chat and trade together and make money together. Another question. Okay, so today you had to chase on the good trade, which should have been easy. My finger was on it and I didn't do it, but that call play this morning should have been easy. Yeah, well, I mean, it was easy enough for Frag and for Giovanni to catch it. Joseph asks, Giovanni, what's the story with setting up your own indicator? Why did you decide to do that? How is it working out? So also, tell us about your indicator. What does it track? What's special about it, and how do you use it?
It started. First of all, let me go back to the question as to like what is it with my custom indicator. I think it was my and excuse me, like I can't explain it any other way than this. It was a fantasy of mine to be able to have something to tell me buy here, sell here. I wanted trading to be that simple. And I had a good friend, hopefully he's hearing right now. His name is Bernie. He first introduced to me a script before Thinkorswim was even a thing. I think it was called Strategy Desk on TD Ameritrade. He gave me a strategy. I don't know if he built it himself or he was given to him. I'm not sure. He's like, hey, load this. I had no idea what he was giving me. And I loaded it up and it produced signals. It literally produced green arrows, red arrows, where to get in, where to sell out. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And they stopped supporting, TD Ameritrade stopped supporting Strategy Desk. And I had to build my own strategy on Thinkorswim. And that was difficult for me to learn all the coding and whatnot and the indicators, but it's just so fascinating. I mean, who wouldn't want a product, a strategy out there to tell them, hey, right now you should buy, or brings your attention to, hey, buy now, and not just just to see support here. That way, like, you can actually visually envision your trade. That's why I built this strategy, literally to help me envision my trades.
All right, so I don't use stochastics, and I think I've told you guys a million times. One of my teachers, the main teacher, he used to use stochastics, but now he doesn't use stochastics anymore because he doesn't think it's necessary. I have found success without stochastics personally. So I'm not really inclined to use stochastics because I know that if I just get my shit together and have a little bit more patience, I'm going to have another crazy 13, 17, 19, 6-0 win streak. So again, I'm not like jumping to figure out stochastics at all. But tell us, how do you use stochastics? How is stochastics integrated into your indicator? What are your future plans about stochastics? And maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like stochastics? And before you answer that, Wheeler, I'll get you in a mic in a second. So please.
So what happened is I started looking at momentum indicators, which in my opinion, most indicators are price action indicators, indicators to begin with. But the stochastics, it's the way that I use it, and I mean, obviously I can give you the true definition of it, but the way that I use it is I started using it as a strength indicator. And I quickly learned that I call it strength, but I quickly learned that it was more so a range. Where is price currently trading at compared to X past, candlesticks? And I'm using it more so as a strength indicator. And it showed in my trading today how I'm using that. I was getting an indication of, hey, you know what, you should start jumping in or think about jumping in here because that signal started popping up. I looked at the full stow and it showed me, hey, you know what, it's a little weak right here, hold off. And I even mentioned it in the video. And then I didn't actually get in until I saw that full stow actually flip in the other direction and actually head north sharply. Now we're looking at angles and whatnot, but that's how I'm using stochastics.
Okay, cool. And I look, if you would be so kind to share, I would love to dive into stochastics more with you on future podcast streams and in the chat. But yeah, that's awesome. So we will definitely look more into that. I noticed that your stochastics indicator or your custom think script is very similar to the MACD crossover, which is what I use just to get a visual on if the MACD has given me the signal or not. And what you will notice on probably your indicator and what I notice on my MACD indicator is that the close of the candles are so important as to what these signals say, because one moment when you're very close to having those lines cross, it might pop up the arrow, but by the end of that candle close, if that candle reverses, that arrow is officially not there. It was never even there in the first place.
Exactly.
So tell us, how do you tackle candle closes? What are your opinions on candle closes? Are you trying to trade more with candle closes, less with candle closes?
So and you're right. And the short answer is it's very tough because at any moment, this is just my overall thought, views and opinion, that at any moment the market can go the opposite direction. Any given moment, there's nothing you can do to prevent that. But that is where I'm starting to use stochastics. It's going to give me a sort of indication of, hey, it's strong here. The probabilities of it reversing or that candle closing below and therefore not giving me a signal. I'm using stochastics to help me identify whether that candle is going to continue in that same direction, the direction that I'm trying to trade in, or it's weak and it can go the opposite direction. So in short, I'm not necessarily trying to, trade when that candle closes. I'm paying attention as to when my indicator, my arrow, is showing up, and then I'm looking at stochastics to see the strength. I'm using stochastics as that strength indicator that I've always looked for and always wanted, and it seems to be working for the time being. The true test is obviously going to be when the markets aren't trending, whether I can identify, hey, hold off today, we're not trading, or hey, you know what, it's weak, the markets are trading sideways, but hey, volume came in, there's strength in this move, get in. And that's whenever I'll be able to better determine the whole stochastics question as to how I'm using it.
Sure. And again, I think we'll definitely look more into that. I would like to look more into that myself. Someone had a really important comment, and I think it's only fair that we talk about it, because I want this podcast, and just as a trader in general, I think you always have to be fair and accept criticism on an opposite opinion of yours. So we just said
Absolutely.
that we love SPY, right?
Yes.
But Lems just brought up a fantastic point about the spreads. Earlier he said, I don't agree with this argument. 1 cent spread, but you need to buy 10 contracts. I think what he means by that is you need to buy 10 contracts in order to have the same effect as having an SPX option. So what he's saying is, if you have a 1 cent spread, but you buy 10 contracts, and that's the same as having, let's say, a 5 or 10 cent spread on a 1 SPX contract, it's the same thing. Lems, my counter to that, and you're totally right, even though the spreads are tighter on SPY, you have to buy more to get the same leverage, so the spreads are actually kind of as loose as the SPX. When the option goes against you, the SPX spreads become much more aggressive, and you can look at this for yourself in the options chain. So what I mean by that is, let's say I get into a SPY option and I'm 1 strike out of the money, and it doesn't go my way. Maybe it goes against me a lot, and I'm 2 to 3 strikes out of the money. My spread on that option will still be 1 to 2 cents, even though it's gone down significantly in value. But if you were in an SPX option, your spread would actually worsen, because if you notice, the spreads on SPX options that are 2 to 3 strikes out of the money are terrible. They're awful. And I want you guys to look at that next time you're trading. I want you to actively see how much the spreads worsen on SPX as premium gets further and further away from actual price, the strike price, the at the money price. Frag, Giovanni, any opinions on that, or should we move on?
I can't even comment on that. Honestly, I just look at SPY, and I haven't even looked at the option prices on SPX. But I'll tell you what, I'll look at them tomorrow, and next podcast or whoever commented or asked, they're more than welcome to email me, and I can give them an answer. But I haven't even looked at the option pricing on SPX.
Yeah, and honestly, there's no need to. There's no need to. But we will. Because we want to know everything about the S&P.
So the thing is, he said, for 1 SPX, you have to control 10 contracts, but now you have the freedom to get less than that. You can get more contracts than 10. You can get less contracts than 10. You can really customize, I guess, your
position sizing.
Yeah, your position.
Sure, and that's also a valid point. That's something I haven't thought about.
With SPX, if it's really expensive, then you're forced to either play an expiry you don't want to play, or
you have to buy $300 time lots instead of $100 lots. For sure, valid point. All right, more questions. Everyone is obviously super interested about the indicator. That's everybody wants that signal, that easy in and out. Everybody's looking for that easy money.
Yes.
And I think that, as much as we should appreciate his indicator, we should look into his indicator. We should ask him as much as we can about his indicator. At the end of the day, guys, successful trading comes down to price action and discipline and emotional control. And if you don't have those skills, if you can't analyze price, if you have no discipline or emotional control, no indicator will save you from blowing up or having a bad trade go against you, because nothing will take you out of a trade. But let's go with some more questions. Somebody asked, Loftwing asked, question to you, Giovanni. Did you start off getting roped into 500 indicators initially due to the absence of gurus? What indicators does he use? So what indicators do you use? Did you used to always use, because we have a running joke in the trading stream that you know, new people love to put on all kinds of indicators, like pretty much all of them. They'll have 50 indicators on their charts. Were you that guy at one point, and what indicators do you use?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I think I went through the stage where the idea was, hey, the more indicators that I have, the more that line up, the better the trade. And that, gosh, that only happens maybe once a blue moon, maybe, where everything lines up perfectly and you have this strategy in your head and you just think that if everything just aligns perfectly with all these indicators, you're going to be successful. And it's the actual opposite. You end up getting different readings, different sort of views and opinions. You literally come up with 10 different opinions at one time, whether you should buy or not. So yes, the answer is yes. I used to be that guy that had at least 10 indicators at the very least. And now I only have 2 indicators, really and truly, the MACD and the full stow. That is it. I have custom settings for them, and my indicator is based off of those 2 indicators, and that's it. Literally MACD and full stow, nothing more.
All right. Opinions on levels. Opinions on the gap. How do you feel about the gap? What is the gap? If you define the gap, how should we trade the gap without hearing any of our opinions? I want to hear it from you. Talk to me about gaps.
Much like support and resistance, I'm probably gonna get a little crap for this. Much like support and resistance, it's all mass psychology, and the gap will usually close. It's all mass psychology. It's imaginary. Throw that out the door, throw that out the window. Trade what you see happening now, and that's how I trade. I don't mind the gap. I look for strength. If it's a gap and go, great. If it's a gap that's about to be filled, great. Trade it for the closing of the gap. That's great. My opinion is I do the opposite. Don't mind the gap.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair. And we will look more into that.
If a lot of people believe in something, then it works.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it is mass. I think it is mass psychology, and I don't think the gap is as simple as people say it is. I think it's a game of statistics, and recently the SPY really hasn't given a shit about the gap, honestly, because I watch it every day. But throughout most of this year, I would say, throughout the beginning of the year, after the first initial massive correction in February, gaps were always getting filled. It's only recently that the market's been pretty iffy about gaps. But I think it is mass psychology. I think that big money cares about gaps and big money trades gaps, but they're not necessarily, and nothing in the market is necessarily a for sure thing, or easy. Gaps are not easy, but they happen, and you need to know how to play them. And gap fills can get very powerful. So that's interesting. I like your take that you don't mind, that you don't care, that you don't look at the gap, and I respect it. And I'm gonna think about that next time I'm trading a little bit. More.
The really quick, what I do with my charts is I actually the after hours and pre-market action into account. I don't know how you guys are setting up your charts, whether you don't have that data, you choose to not look at it, but I actually implement the pre-market action in the after hours into my trading. And essentially, to me, there's no such thing as a gap, if that makes any sense. Because it's trading at all hours of the day, essentially, kind of, sorta. I could better explain it with my charts, but that we'll leave that for another.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, there you go.
The price is trading overnight. Somebody bought it higher.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. No, to answer your question, we take pre-market very seriously. Not after hours. We don't care about after hours. I don't know what you look into that. I'd be curious to know what you look at for after hours. But pre-market for us is a very big deal, and the reason for that is our moving averages, which is the next question. How do you use moving averages? What is your idea on moving averages? You said that the only two indicators you use are MACD and STO. So do you not have moving averages on your chart? Give me some info on that.
I do. I use moving averages as a trend filter. I depending on I use the 10 exponential moving average and the 20 exponential moving average versus just the simple moving averages. It's a trend. It's a trend indicator for me. When the 10 is above the 20, we're going up. I'm only looking to trade to the upside. When the 10 is below the 20, I'm looking to trade to the downside. But I use those as trend filters.
Sure. Interesting. I love simple moving averages. I will always use simple moving averages for the rest of my life. But interesting to hear an EMA guy in the chat. Yeah, for sure. The 10 being above the 20 is obviously means you're ripping, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. We got some more questions in the chat. Oh yeah, hold on. I gotta get Wheeler has been dying to get in this chat. And maybe ask some questions, so we're gonna get him in here. I don't know why he's muted, but maybe we'll make him temporarily trade streams. Unmute him. Oh, that didn't work.
I think he's muted on his end.
Wheeler, you gotta unmute yourself, my man.
All right. Downgrade him to a mod and not own.
All right. Well, while Wheeler figures it out there, we'll continue with some more questions.
I have talking points in the podcast channel.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions though. Alex, if you're still watching, thank you, my dude. You're the boss. Master Chief Sauce asks, thoughts on volume profile?
My thoughts on profile. I don't use it. Volume is a very touchy subject because, well, not really touchy subject, but I don't use volume sort of as an indication of whether I should get in a trade or not. I know that sounds weird, mainly because you got to understand SPY and why it trades and why it moves the way that it does. It's not like a regular stock. A regular company, they go in, it moves because supply and demand and they came out with awesome news that they're buying or acquiring different companies or whatnot. SPY doesn't do that. SPY doesn't move off of hey, let's buy SPY because it's going to be, because they're acquiring companies and this and that. It doesn't move that way. It moves because of the S&P 500. S&P 500 moves because of all the companies managed underneath it. And so it doesn't necessarily need volume. I don't know if that answers your question, but my thoughts is I just don't use volume profiles, so to speak.
Good question. Yeah, good answer. And I agree. Volume profile, not my cup of tea either. Let's move on. What strategy do you usually use on, I guess this is another volume question. What strategy do you use on low volume days this month? What is your indicator to switch over to that strategy?
I'm only using my indicator, my indicator on low volume days, so to speak. I'm gonna lean on my full stow to tell me, hey, today the markets aren't moving, it's flat, there's no volume in the markets, just don't trade. My strategy to sort of combat low volume days is just the strength indication of my indicator.
Sure. Let's see what other questions we have on here. So is the tax advantage on SPX more than compensate for the liquidity on the SPY? Honestly, KVN, I don't know. And my worry is never taxes. Like, I don't care about paying taxes. I'll pay the taxes. I'm trying to make money. And if I master the SPY and I watch the SPY and how it moves every single day compared to the SPX, then I'm not really interested in how much they're gonna tax me. I'm interested in making money. I think that, and I'm about to hit you guys with some real shit, like, traders worry way too much about commissions, brokers, taxes before they even make any money.
Yes.
You need to focus on making money first. After you've made a couple $1,000s, after you've doubled, tripled, quadrupled, sextupled your account, then you should be talking and asking about taxes and commissions. But if you're not making money, your energy should be, how am I going to become a better trader? Not, how am I going to nickel and dime with the market makers that are kicking my ass? If that makes any sense. Master Chief Sauce asks you, when do you cut losers?
Ooh, that's a good question. So from my trading, and by all means, I'll share my channel. You can see this throughout all my videos. I get scared very easily. The moment
that is no bueno.
The moment that it starts going against me, I'm looking to get out, and that isn't good. My strategy as of now, it hasn't happened yet, is get out when the moving averages cross back over the opposite direction. And I think that's going to be a good plan for me and my trading strategy. But I'm still working on my exits when I'm profitable and whenever it's a bad trade. I'm figuring that out literally as we speak right now.
Yeah, definitely one of the toughest questions to trading, for sure. Interesting. I hope to see you figure that out, and I've been figuring it out, but I think I'm getting the grasp of it. This is my opinion on cutting losers on SPY. If you're in a morning trade and it chops for 25 minutes, you should cut, because a morning trade should be, going your way. If you're in a morning trade and it goes against you, you should cut. I don't think you should be extremely tight. I think you got to be a little bit more loose than you might think so, because when I find the most success, it's when I'm extremely loose. And I don't mean loose by like 50-60%, but I know it might suck to hear this, but 20% loss is like a good max loss, and I think it gives a lot of now obviously your goal is not to take a 20% max loss or a 30% max loss. Your goal is obviously to get paid, see if it's chopping and not acting right, and getting out, or getting out before a 20% loss, maybe like a 15, 16, 10% loss. But I really think that one of the reasons why I've been very successful this year is obviously besides having my rules and stuff, but it is having a little bit of risk tolerance.
Yeah.
And I think as I've been cutting this risk tolerance, because I had one bad loss, it's actually made my trading worse. It makes me more greedy. It makes me more fearful. I think your goal as a trader is obviously trade at the right times, know what you're trading, get a good trade, but then let it play out a little bit, because markets go up, markets go down. Nothing is easy. But honestly, being too tight for me has been more of a problem this year than being too loose.
Interesting.
And that goes, and like, so the thing is, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier, if you're trying to build an account, you got to be a little bit more selective. You got to take the best setups, because if you can maintain like an 80% win rate, if you maintain an 80% win rate, but you make on average 10%, and you take 2 losers, and those 2 losers are 20%, you're still up 40%. You can actually lose another 2 times. I think it's good to be looser than tighter, and I think that cutting losers too fast for me has been a massive problem. But obviously, the hardest thing is never letting something get out of control. So
Yeah.
we tried. It's actually interesting that you say this whole waiting until the moving averages cross back over on the other side. We were doing very well, and I think it was like a 9 trade win streak, and then we started trying that, and one of them got out of hand, because what our strategy was to wait for the retest of the moving averages to get out. But sometimes when things are extremely weak or extremely strong, you don't even get those retests. So
I gotcha.
you might, if you have like a strategy where you're trying to get out on something, it might never, your signal to get out might never come to fruition, and then you have to take like that max loss. All right. Yeah, guys, don't forget to check out Giovanni's channel. It's Spy Options Trading on YouTube. So go check him out. Go give the guy a sub, and let's get this money on Spy. More questions. Wheeler, you should be unmuted, by the way. I don't know what to tell you, man. I want to hear you in this chat, but let's see. What's your trading size? Loftwing asked, what is your trading size? Talk to me about risk management a little bit. What are your philosophies on risk management and trading size when it comes to trading Spy?
So that all depends on your risk tolerance. Long story short, I'm not going to get into this here, but when I started trading Spy on a serious level maybe a year ago, and I was trading it with $5,000 in the option. In the options, I was trading maybe depending on what the price was of the option, I would trade maybe 50 contracts. A couple things happened. I went through just a couple of personal things, and then now to get back into the game, seriously, I started with 1 contract. Even though my trading account, I still had a sizable trading account, I started with 1 contract. And the main reason why I started with 1 contract is I had to get back into the routine of the emotional aspect, and it's so easy to paper trade. It's a totally different ball game whenever you actually have your own money at stake. So my risk management is by the amount of money that I actually trade in that one trade. It's never necessarily a percentage of my portfolio. It's never necessarily, it's all about how much money am I really willing to lose at one given point, and that's how I risk that's how I manage my risk, by the amount of money I put into the trade. How much am I willing to risk at this one moment? That's my answer.
Okay. That's a little toxic. Well, I think what's toxic is
Can you guys hear me?
not looking at it through percentages. Yeah, we can hear you, but we'll definitely get into that more in further streams. Wheeler, what's up?
Yeah, well, Giovanni, I mean, I don't know if this has already been answered, but I kind of wanted to know, like, how long have you been trading the SPY? Because I know a lot of guys that are part of the stream and part of the subscription for Ed are newer and they're learning. So I just so how long have you been doing this?
So I really started, I looked at SPY 5 years. Did I actually trade it, and was I into it at that time? No. Really, truly looking at trading SPY on a serious basis to try to make some good money 1 year. I literally have been trading it on a daily basis 1 year ago. More specifically, a year and 3 months. That's how long I've actually been trading SPY.
Yeah, and that's your full-time obligation nowadays, or?
No. I have a part-time job. And I set it up this particular way so I can trade. I trade from market open to about 12 o'clock my time, and then I have a part-time job that I go to at 1 o'clock, and I work for 4 hours. And those are. If you look at my YouTube channel, you'll understand why. I won't get into that in this podcast, but that's where I'm heading, though, is I want to become a full-time day trader, and I'm on the right path.
So, I mean, you've been doing it over a year. I've only been sort of learning and following Ed and getting acclimated to this strategy since about May. And the month of July was killer. I had multiple very solid win streaks. And the month of August, I think, it sounds like universally has been a little bit tougher. It's been a little bit more sideways. Not a lot of volume. So if you could, I just kind of wanted to get your viewpoint on what it's like to deal with some of the trading emotions when you made the right trade, and you would do it again and again, yet for that specific trade it just doesn't happen to work out. Because for me personally, I'd been killing it, like I said, in the month of July, and this month I just seem like I do the right things, and then it just doesn't work out, and now and still as a new trader, because obviously May was only like 3 or 4 months ago, I'm scaring myself out of trades now that I shouldn't be scaring myself out of, because I know the fundamentals of the trade are there, the strategy is there, but because it didn't work the last several times, it's convincing myself out of a good trade. So I kind of want to pick your brain on trade psychology and like how you have kind of dealt with that.
Well, I guess I should come out and say it. And I have no saying it. I mean, it's in my channel and whatnot. That gets really personal, and I'm okay talking to you about that. I went through a divorce in January. That screwed me up mentally, emotionally, and I stopped trading. I stopped trading for several months. Again, this is all lying down to my channel. But what has helped me, and everybody has a different situation. While I was married, had a wife, had our son. It was scary, and I had to protect myself so much more than I'm protecting myself now. on during bad trades and whatnot. I knew that I had a nest egg. Had a nest egg behind me. I saved money. I'm trading the markets. I'm gambling essentially, right? It's just sophisticated gambling. But I always knew that if I lose 100% of this money, my family's going to be okay. I still have a day job that provides for myself, pays a mortgage, pays, everything that my family needs can be sort of taken care of by my day job. Now, because of my situation has changed, I'm not so scared necessarily to jump into a trade and be willing to lose. And that's the hardest part about trading, right? It's not the strategy. It's not, whether or not you're going to have to pay taxes or this and that. It's the emotional aspect of knowing that, hey, if you get into this trade and it's a bad trade, can you handle that loss? Knowing your strategy helps tremendously. That has helped me this time around, that I know my strategy fairly well. I like to think so anyways. I know what I'm looking for. I'm still working on the exit strategy if it goes against me, but I know what I'm looking for in an entry, and having that confidence to say, you know what, this is what I've worked hard for. I know what I'm looking for. Here it is. Jump in. Having the guts to jump in and trade. Yeah.
I think one of the biggest advantages that myself and Ed both have over a lot of people in the chat and a lot of new people that we talk to are responsibilities.
Yes.
If you have a lot of responsibilities, if you have a wife, if you have kids, if you have a house, if you have a mortgage, if you have cars, you need money. You need money to live. And if you start trading, you're probably going to start losing right off the bat, just because most people do. And if you're losing money and you have all these responsibilities, you have to take that and say, well, I can't trade anymore. I can't lose money. I have wife and kids to take care of. But I know me and Ed, we both live at home, and we both, not married, don't have kids, don't have all these like responsibilities.
Absolutely. And that's you hit it right on the I don't have the pressure right now of having to pay a mortgage. It's just, that's the way my cards were dealt, and I'm making the best out of it. But even whenever I did have a family, a full family, so to speak, I was married and had a mortgage, I was more motivated to figure out my strategy, figure out where I'm heading with this, because I want to become a full-time day trader and I want to spend more time with my family. And that led me to my strategy today. But it just gives me the ability to be more, take more risks, I guess.
All right, guys, I gotta put an end to the stream. It's been an absolute pleasure. Chat, everybody, please say thank you, Giovanni. Twitch chat, YouTube chat. Also, go subscribe to his channel. Giovanni, will you be trading with us in chat as much as you can?
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
Awesome.
I'm all for people. Shoot, you can ask me questions in the chat room. You can send me an email at spyoptionstrading at gmail.com, spyoptionstrading@gmail.com. That you can always send. I'm always available.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
always available.
You know what? How about you put I don't know, maybe you can put like Giovanni in brackets in your name in the chat, so because instead of emailing is so complicated, people can just direct message you in chat, ask away.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just so guys, the Discord. Hop in the Discord. Giovanni's in chat. I'm in chat. Frag's in chat. Wheeler's in chat. We have a bunch of dedicated SPY traders, and we're gonna get this money, and we are going to master the SPY and be SPY market makers. It's been an absolute pleasure. guys, thank you so much. All of you guys that were on the stream and all you guys that were in the podcast with me. And more podcasts to come.
And thank you so much, Ed, for having me.
No, it's the pleasure is all mine. All right, guys.
Thanks, Gio. I'm happy to be part of it.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Go follow Giovanni's option trading channel. Hop in the Discord, and when we do another podcast, we will let you guys know. See you guys in chat tomorrow. Trade smart. Don't overtrade. Remember, trading is a psychological game. And have yourself a fantastic evening. Go enjoy life. Bye, guys.